Hey guys, welcome back to Grief Uncensored with Eloho. I have my guest today, Yasmina. Hi. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's literally my sister from another mother. She got me into exercising, running on the bridge. Like literally, she would leave her house and travel 40 minutes just to exercise with me. And now I'm a gym freak. Thank you. Listen, you doing that for me has literally helped my mental health. Like I tell you, exercising is my therapy. Honestly. So yes, thank you for that. I talk a lot, guys, so sorry. And also I have my psychotherapist, Rimi. Hi, Rimi. Hi, yes, welcome guys. So Yasmina, let's just dive into my podcast. And also I just want to say honestly, thank you so much for coming on my podcast, because I have 3 close friends of mine, you know them, who have lost their mom and they couldn't come on my podcast, and I do understand, but you come in, and although she texted me at 5 a.m. saying, oh my god, my son is throwing up, I was like, Yasmina doesn't want to come on my podcast. I know she doesn't, but you still came.
No,
so
of course.
Honestly, thank you so much. Because to be honest, I'm not a hypocrite. If you were having a podcast and I've just lost my mom, there's no way I'll come on your podcast. So I commend you. Thank you. Our topic for today is grief and how grief affects sleep.
Okay.
But first of all, Yasmina, I just want you to, tell us a little bit about your story. And as you know, it's Grief Uncensored.
Yes.
And you have the privilege of having a psychotherapist that you're not paying for on the podcast. So please take advantage, because I'm going to be doing that. Rimi, sorry. I hope you're ready. Okay. Great stuff. So if you tell us your story.
Yeah, of
and
course.
I'm going to just interrupt you. I apologize. Yasmina just lost her cousin as well.
Yeah.
Is it up to 3 weeks?
It was on the 2nd of February.
Wow, 2nd of February.
Yeah.
I don't know the story because I've been waiting for you to tell me.
Yeah.
So, but let's start on your journey of grief, right? Tell me the first grief you've experienced.
So in 2019, I was pregnant, and I was up to 20 weeks pregnant, and I lost my baby. So I know it was a he. So he had spina bifida. So for those who don't know, as the baby is forming, a hole was left in his spine. So the fluid from the brain was kind of leaking out of the spine. So depending on how high the hole is, there's more. If the baby was born, there would have been a lot of problems and a lot of drama, and it wouldn't have been value for life. But so he was fighting, 20 weeks. Unfortunately, the heartbeat stopped. Because we were 20 weeks, I had to physically give birth, and we buried the baby, so that was a lot to take in. I don't feel like there was a lot of kind of, I guess, counseling or a lot of like support or help with that. They were just like, really sorry, we'll help you with the funeral. It wasn't really much of a funeral. There was just kind of someone there to help pray over the baby. We're Muslims, so and then that was kind of it. It was just business as usual, I guess. If I knew what I knew now, losing a couple of extra people in my family, I may have been able to do things a little bit differently. But yeah, so that was grief number 1.
What would you have done differently?
Well, back then, like in my family, I haven't had any kind of major loss.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing I would have probably done is checked to see for maybe a more better, maybe Muslim burial site. Because now all the rest of my family who have passed away, they're all kind of together. So it would have been nice to kind of have baby there too. Just kind of certain things like that. I wasn't really in a position where I felt like I could reach out and talk to people about it. So I was very closed off. Just kind of, literally, as I said, business as usual. I just kind of got on with it, went back to work and just acted like nothing happened. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess even probably up until now, I haven't really fully dealt with it. I haven't even gone back to visit in the cemetery or anything like that. Mm-hmm. We just kind of moved on, and that was that. But I feel like if we went back a bit, I would have definitely kind of reached out and just kind of spoken a bit more about it. I feel like it's a very, like when women give birth but don't have a baby, I don't really feel like it's spoken about a lot. So it's very like hidden and quiet, and almost not ashamed, but it was like, everyone's like, oh, where's your baby? Because, you know, you're not pregnant anymore, you had a bump, and then you've got to tell people, and then it's very like, oh, you stand off and you're like, oh, sorry, and then that's it, they don't talk about it again type of thing.
May I interject? Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
My condolences, even though
Thank
we were
you.
talking a few years ago, and I can't imagine what you were going through, what you go through now when you revisit those times. It has to be very, very difficult. And I always imagine, as a psychotherapist, but just as an ordinary person, that the loss of a child has to be one of the most challenging, difficult, saddest losses that anyone can have. Elle might know herself, and, you know, Nigerian cousins, friends, family. I mean, you know, when we hear of people who've lost their children, it's just such an extraordinary circumstance compared to other griefs. In Nigeria, for instance, if your child dies, you don't go to the funeral because a child isn't supposed to go to.
Oh yes, that's true actually.
Before you, it's an extraordinary type of loss. So thank you for sharing that story, as difficult as it must be for you.
Yeah, I definitely would have kind of gone back, and in the hospital they were like, do you want to see him? And my mother-in-law and my mum were like, because they went to see, because they took him straight away into another room, and they went to see, and they were like, you're not going to want to see. But looking back now, I think I would have wanted to. I definitely would have wanted to.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I actually feel so frustrated now that I didn't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because that happened to me with my mom.
Okay, yeah.
It was actually my friend that forced me to go and see my mom. I was like, no way. She was like, Eloho, you have to. Eloho, you have to. I was like, no. She's like, you have to. And she forced me, and I did it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I did. Because actually talking to you now, I'm seeing my mom. So yeah. Although when it was time to bury my mom, I think weeks after, I didn't like the sight. So I tried to erase that one and focus on the when she just passed, because she still didn't look like she was passed. But yeah. Also, I just wanted to point out, before you talk about your other losses, is that Yasmina actually wrote it down here. I said, like, can I just say that I think you're a better human being than me? I'll tell you why. So, you see, when Yasmina was going through her when she felt pregnant, because before she actually got pregnant, she was struggling. Not really. Were you struggling? You weren't struggling to have a baby, but
we were trying for a year.
You were trying for a year. To me, that's not struggling.
Yeah,
because I thought you're just impatient in my head. Because I was like, girl, God give her a child, because she really wants a child. So to me, I can't tell you what your struggle is. So I take that back.
No, it's
So what I mean is, I just thought, Yasmina, you really started trying for a baby for a year, so you would have a baby, but she desperately wanted a child. So when she felt pregnant, I was so excited, and then come to find out that your baby had all these conditions, and you know they did give you the option to terminate the baby, and she refused.
Yeah.
And I even told her to terminate the baby because I was like, I can't. If the professionals have told you that that's an option, I think you should go for that, so that you don't suffer looking at your child not being more able. Now, I know that I would have terminated my baby. And for me, the fact that you said, I don't care, I want to have the baby, you're amazing. Yeah. Now, can I just ask you, as a professional, do you think me telling my friend to terminate her baby, would you say that's wrong?
It's a very, very interesting question, and one worth thinking about and discussing.
Yeah.
And not just necessarily on a friendship level, but as two women, I mean, you know, it's something you think about. And when I heard you say it, I slightly balked.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
As a human being, I balked, because in some ways, the final decision is left with the mother.
Of course. Yeah.
Or the person who was pregnant, as to what they want to do of and about it.
Yeah.
And as a man, in some ways, I will never fully understand what it would be like, obviously, to fall pregnant or to not have a child and not to give birth.
Yeah.
If you're close to somebody, of course you want what is best for them. And, you know, it sounds very much like you two have such a relationship. I mean, having spoken to Yasmina just for a few minutes beforehand about the things that you've done together, not just here, but in other countries, I know you are very, very close. And you have a comfortable enough relationship by the sounds of it to be able to talk frankly about all things that affect the two of you. So in some ways, depending on the type of relationship you have, it isn't necessarily wrong.
Okay.
I mean, to say, though, to tell somebody is very, very different than to advise somebody. And I'd be more wary about wanting to advise a friend or a member of the family about something that I think they should be doing if it's around their own health and safety, rather than telling them. But all of that depends on the type of relationship that the two of you have.
Yeah, we definitely have a very upfront relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I know where she's coming from. So even when you're saying I'm telling her to, like, she should just like terminate, I know that that's an advice and that's her opinion and that's how she's feeling deep down. So it's not even like she's told me like this is what you have.
Yeah, it was my.
So yeah, but I appreciate that advice, because I know a lot of people just everywhere in the world in terms of termination, like it's a very touchy subject. So a lot of people are very against it, but in that moment in time, I actually appreciated her point of view on that, because I needed to see both sides of what was going on, because I had my family, you know, very upbeat and it's going to be okay. And the doctors, you know, like yes, they're saying that this will happen, but, you know, have faith. And then you have people saying, I don't know about this, you know, like it might not be okay. And then you have, you know, terminate or don't terminate. So I think it's very important to see everything. And as you said, it definitely comes down to me and of course what we're going to do, but I definitely appreciated all aspects of opinions. So I have to thank you for that as well.
Also, as well, if you don't mind me interjecting, is that you have a certain amount of agency. Do you know what I'm saying? Is if you didn't have agency, you were, I don't know, mentally unstable or not aware, or you're a child or whatever. But you have agency, you know what you're doing, you have intelligence, you have support as well around you.
Yeah.
And if somebody is telling you something or giving you advice, at the end of the day, you know it is up to you as an individual, and that's the thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. The only reason I actually did say that was because the professionals give you that option. If that option wasn't there, of course not.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us about
my other losses.
Yeah.
So after that, I actually, just to put a little bit of shine light on everything, I had my two blessings. I had my
yes.
So in 2020, I had Kareem, my little boy.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Drives me up the wall, but he's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
After that, in 21, unfortunately, in February the 20th, we lost my granddad. So even though losing the baby was difficult, this was, in my eyes, my biggest loss, because I didn't meet the baby. Yes, it was my baby, but I didn't meet him. I didn't see his face. There's no name. There was nothing. My granddad, you know, I've known him all my life. This was like the biggest loss in my life, in my family's life. He's the first kind of person. My dad lost his parents and his grandma, but I didn't meet them. I didn't have a relationship with them. So for me, my granddad was my biggest first loss. That one was a lot. That one shook me.
Was that where you losing your granddad?
Yeah, but it was very. See, with Muslims, as soon as a person's died, the burial was very quick. It happens like that, you know, like within days if possible. But yeah, so, and then, you know, trying to kind of get over that grief. I was trying to support my mum. My mum took it very, very hard. She was what you call daddy's girl. You know, my granddad had 6 children, and my mum, and she was the middle child. She was all about daddy. Absolutely loved it. So she took it very difficult. So I feel like as much as I was grieving for my granddad, I was more supporting my mum grieving her dad. And as you know, my mum, she suffers with depression. There's been suicidal things there. There's been a lot of mental health. So my main goal wasn't about me. My main goal was to make sure that my mum was okay. Then my mum passed. She passed last year. This April will be a year. That one was a lot. Sorry.
Yeah.
That one was a lot. It still is. You know, you speak to somebody every day, several times a day. She was literally my best friend.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Please pass tissue. Thank you. My eyes.
She was my best friend.
Yeah.
And it's funny because even up until last month, when you get used to doing something, you pick up the phone to call somebody. And I still do it now. Not intentionally, obviously, but for example, I would have dropped Kareem off to nursery and my initial thing would be, call mum. But it would happen so quickly, my realization of I can't call her, I can't call her, happens in a split second, but it's oh, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it happens several times through the day, every day. So that one was major. I have 3 other siblings. I'm the eldest one, all from the same mum. So obviously kind of trying to help them deal with it as well. They're all at different levels in life. You know, one's trying to find, 2 of them are trying to find work, one was trying to go through university. So again, I guess I was just kind of playing mum role, just trying to make sure that they're doing okay. Obviously I've got a small child or 2 kids, you know. I've got 2 kids now, so just kind of, you know, she didn't hear them talk. You know, they talk now, they have full sentences, you know, they're both potty training, that she's not seen any of that, so that's a lot. And then last month, my cousin passed. She was 24. I think she was 25. She's had an ongoing heart condition from when she was young. And she was perfectly fine though. She's been waiting for an operation for a little while, but it wasn't something emergency that she needed. She needed to lose a little bit of weight. You know, the doctors, they have, you know, you need to do this, this, and this before we can operate. But it wasn't anything emergency where they have to do now. She was perfectly healthy in other ways. She lived with my grandma, and she just passed in her sleep. So my grandma, their kind of routine is my grandma normally sleeps a little bit longer than my cousin does. Her name was Miriam. And my grandma woke up and just didn't find Miriam anywhere. So she went to check on her in the bedroom and she was like, you know, wake up. And, you know, she's, according to what she said, you know, she's trying to wake her and she's broken. When the paramedics and everyone kind of came, my grandma was like, all she ever said was, she had a toothache, she wasn't unwell, she wasn't anything. Coming further down the line now, because they had to do an autopsy. Autopsy. And they said that when you have a toothache and you have a heart condition, sometimes the infection from the mouth can go down to the bloodstream. The first organ it will go to is the heart. Because she has a heart condition, obviously she struggled a little bit and, you know, she had a heart attack. So, so we just buried her as well. So it's been a ride. It's been a lot. Still trying to go through everything, go through grief, just kind of go through the emotions while still living day to day, looking after my children, you know, got 2 and a 3-year-old now. Yeah. So it's a lot.
Yeah, grief is an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So out of all your grief, your losses, which is the most impactful? Because all of them are impactful in different ways. But would you say, I believe that for me, losing my mom, I don't think any other losses can compare. Now, that doesn't mean if I lose someone else, I won't be affected. I would be. But I think I've had what's the best way to articulate it? My worst nightmares happened. My fear has happened. I've experienced my fear. If someone was to ask me, oh, what are you scared of? I've already experienced it. It's losing my mom. So I don't know. Would you say that? Because I asked that question. I don't know if that's the right question to ask. in terms of, because you've had different experience with loss.
Different experiences. I agree with you.
Oh,
my mom.
your mom. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I think it's an interesting question and one worth considering. I mean, your story is an extraordinary one. Several significant losses in a short period of time, and at a time in your life where, you know, you're a mother with young children, have responsibilities and all those sorts of things. And yeah, there's a certain level of stoicism which you have and strength which you have to manage the situation, which is great. And not everybody's able to do that. But I'm on my phone at the moment because I just want to quote something. I mean, when I was thinking about the podcast, I was just writing down a few things about grief. And one of the things I said here is grief is loss, which I think you understand and acknowledge more than anybody because you've mentioned it quite a few times today. Our loved one died, our relationships end, our jobs disappoint us, our friends leave us, our friends let us down, our children struggle, we feel the loss of roots and we feel the loss of community and we feel the loss of the state of the world. We have all sorts of losses every single day throughout our lives. And so we experience all sorts of grief. Some grief will impact us more than others, obviously, particularly when it comes to the loss of most significant others in our lives, whether it be children, whether it be mothers, whether it be brothers, sons, etc. So it's about how that thing, that person, and what it is that it means to you, they mean to you. If you're in a, and forgive me for using this example, if you're in a war-torn situation, like for instance what's going on in Israel, there are people that are losing their roots and their community and their livelihood. And that's a grief also as well. I mean, very hitting. And probably one of the most hard hitting.
The world around them is literally
precisely. So it really is about, you know, what that thing is, what it means to you. But there will be some losses that are more hard hitting than others. And when you talk about the loss of your mother or you talk about the loss of your children, you can completely feel why that might be the most important loss to them. One last thing on this as well. As we grow older, we become a bit more accepting of loss because in a way it's a natural part of what happens in life, and maybe we understand it more, maybe because we experience a lot more, but until you're a young woman, so to speak, compared to me. And grief, I suppose, is always hard-hitting when you're younger as well. Loss is always hard-hitting when you're younger. Not to say it will be easier, but it's always hard-hitting, especially when you come to it for the first time.
When you're younger. It's interesting because it's so funny because my cousin was talking to me yesterday and she's going to come on my podcast and I think I'll bring this conversation with her. Okay. She said she thinks grief is harder when you're older? Something like that. Because she was saying I dealt with it better when I lost my mom. I was like, you think I dealt with it? Really? Because she was saying that to me yesterday on the phone. I was like, I dealt with grief when I said, you didn't even know where I was. I was in Nigeria drinking. I came back to the country and I went for therapy. I think the difference is when you're younger, you're not communicating as much as an adult. Because when I was younger, I was suffering, but I wasn't communicating to anyone. But now, I'm communicating. I'm actually confidently saying, I'm angry, I lost my mom and I don't care what people think about me and what I'm saying. But when I was younger, I couldn't say that. I kept saying because I thought
partying and drinking and stuff. People might see that just as a young person doing
living her best life.
Maybe that's how she saw it.
Yeah, we'll find out when she comes on.
Yeah.
So I have some questions to ask you, okay? So with grief, so how have you been coping?
Day by day. In terms of grief, I think it's just I take the day as it comes. My boys have been my grace and savior because they literally keep me so busy. Sometimes I don't even have time to think about anything else. I'm constantly on the move, you know. 2 toddlers, 2 boys, boisterous boys, you know, they do a lot constantly. So I just think that's just what it is. I just keep myself very busy.
Yeah.
There's only been a couple of times where I've had kind of, I guess, kid-free days where I'm doing nothing but I'm at home, and they're the worst days. like I don't want to be by myself. And I think I haven't, but I also haven't allowed myself to be by myself, to go through the motions. I was saying to my younger sister that I almost envied my siblings because they didn't have anything but them. They didn't have to worry about anyone else but them. They were able to, if they wanted to be in a dark room in their beds all day and just go through the motions, they can. If they wanted to be busy and social, they can. They could do whatever they needed to do at that time. Where being a mum was the most important thing to me, being a good wife, and just looking after my household and everyone around me, that was what was more important. So I haven't really dealt with it in that way. I've just stayed busy, and I think just slightly wandering off topic a little bit, what people don't understand is when I lost my mum, I didn't just lose a mum. I lost a best friend, I lost a sister, I lost a child, because my mum was very much dependent on me for many, many, many years. I mentioned her mental health and stuff, so I was there for my siblings in a way where mum should have been, but I was also there for her in a way she should have almost been there for me. So it's it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so to kind of deal with it, I think it's going to take a lot of time to kind of...
Oh, yes, honey. It's only a year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost a year.
Yeah, welcome, girl. I'm 12 years into it. It still feels like yesterday. So get ready, strap on. It's a long road ahead of you.
I believe you.
Yeah, so I just have some few questions and then we'll have some more conversations, okay? Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Only that, yes, of course, there's a certain level of stoicism that you have to have and strength that you have to manage significant losses, right? Yeah. What a lot of people tend to do, also is what I've noticed, is that they carry on with their lives or fill their lives to not in some ways have to deal with the grief as well, because to face up to the loss can sometimes be extremely challenging, and to the point where you think about it too much, you want him to do the important things in your life. So, the people around you who need you, they'll not get you. So I kind of get that. But one thing I would want you to consider, because I was very, very interested when you spoke about the first loss, is that you said that you felt that there was no means of support or real support around you. And there is something to be said about accessing support when you have such a significant loss. It's very, very important to know and understand and acknowledge that you've got people around you who can be there to assist as well. It's important for us to consider that.
Yeah. Okay. How would you say grief has affected you and your hobby?
My husband?
Yes.
If anything, I think it's put us closer.
Oh, wow. That's great.
He has been my lifeline. So yes, my kids have kept me busy, but he's been there in conversation. He's been there in just silence. He's been there for supporting the house. He is actually what they would say, your knight in shining armor when it comes to things like this. He lost his dad over 10 years ago as well. So he knows, what it feels like to lose someone very close to you.
Yeah.
So, he says, look, loss, it's never gonna go away. You just learn how to deal with it better. And, we're just always having conversations, and he talks to me about his dad. I talk to him about my mom and my granddad, and, and then obviously losing a baby. We don't talk about that one as much. Not because we don't want to, it's very bizarre. It just doesn't really come up as much. And, at the beginning, we tried to talk about it a little bit, but I don't know if it was just too painful or it was just too weird of a situation. Something we just never was really expecting. But then obviously it didn't stop us from trying again. Like I said, we've got our 2 other children, so I feel like
that's good.
I feel like because we have our 2 blessings, we acknowledge the fact that obviously we lost a baby, but it's not really spoken about as much. But he's definitely been there for me. And then just recently, obviously, when my cousin passed away, straight away, it was get in a cab, take the boys to my mum's house, get to where you need to be. He's always been there. He's always around my family as well. When we have family gatherings and stuff, even when my other cousins' husbands and stuff are not there, he's always there. Everyone always knows who he is. So If anything, it's brought us not closer together because of grief, but as in like he's definitely been like my arm to lean on.
Yeah, that's a different type of intimacy.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so do you feel like your family was there for you 100% with your grief, or do you feel like they could have done more?
It depends on what you mean or who you mean by family. If you mean like my immediate family, as in like my siblings and my dad, 100% they've been there. We've all been there for each other. If anything, especially when it came to the loss of my mum, it put us more closer with me and my siblings. We talk like way more in the day now than we used to, just kind of checking up on each other, making sure we're all okay. The more extended part of my family, like aunties, cousins and things like that, we check up on each other every now and then, but you know, it's like anything else. Once kind of the whole kind of big boom, if you must, of everything that's kind of happened dies down a little bit, everyone starts going back to their own lives and we check in every now and then. So I feel like we are quite a close family. Definitely more could have been done. But everyone has their own way of dealing with it as well, you know. Like my granddad, yes, I could have had a bit more support, but also they also lost their dad, like in terms of my aunties and my uncle. So I can't really ask anyone to do more than what they could do, as long as I know that everyone did their best.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about friends? So also, I mean, perhaps the people you have expectations from. Although grief has taught me not to have expectations, but that's a different topic. But the ones you have expectations from, I mean, okay, what about your friends? You think your friends have been there for you?
Just a small handful. I won't name names.
Of course. Okay.
There's a few of my friends where I felt like, okay, well, we talk a lot. I feel like there could have been maybe a little bit more there, because if it was the other way around, I definitely would have tried my best. I would have done a lot more.
To be honest, would you say that I have been there for you? Would you say that there are things I could have done different or more? Is there a way you would want me to be there for you?
No, so to be honest, out of all of my, I don't have a lot of friends, I keep them very close, but the ones that I do have, if anything, you were probably the one who called me and checked on me the most to make sure that I was okay. You came to see me. I wouldn't have probably asked for any more. If anything, it's the other way around. I get really emotional when I think about when you lost your mum. There was a small part in our friendship where we weren't super close. You know, like my mum had moved to Liverpool, like there was other things, like we just weren't as close as we were before. And I think there was even a point where I didn't even realise that your mum had passed away until after, you know, and like to me, like it hurt so much that I couldn't have been there for you, like especially now knowing what it feels like, you know, like knowing that I couldn't have been there for you in the way that you've been there for me. I think that's like it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is a very, very emotional subject. I can see it affecting the two of you. And look, here's the thing, right, that you need to keep in mind, that there is no formula for dealing with grief, whether you're the person who's lost something or whether you're somebody who wants to support somebody who's lost something. There is no formula. Some people don't know how to approach somebody who's lost. I mean, invariably, there is, I'm sorry about your loss, condolences if there's anything you need, and that's normally the stock answer. But some just really don't know. Maybe there is something to be said about the person who was lost to come out and say, this is what I need. That's one thing. But what we also as well have to understand and appreciate is that sometimes people won't approach the person who's lost someone because it means that they have to get in touch with their own losses that they've had in their lives before, and they might want to stay clear of that too. So there's all sorts of things that could be happening for people. But it's a very, very emotive subject. It touches places within us that we're not aware of, sometimes that have been asleep from a very long time ago. I always say personally to people is, you know, you go with your feelings as much as you can, especially if you're a person that's lost. Ask for what you want, and I think more times than not people will be there for you, but you have to be ready to, you know, say that this is what I need, even if it is stay away from me, don't touch me, don't talk to me. Let people know, I think, is one thing.
It's true.
Just to be honest, we talked about this the last time we saw each other. You know, like with my mom, when I lost my mom, to be honest, I don't even hold it against you because we were not really in each other's life, not like anything happened, you know. So honestly, I really don't, because I know me. I could have maybe treated you differently, but no, because you were not there and you didn't know. To be honest, I think it was even good because some of my friends who were there for me, they suffered because of the way I treated them. So actually it's a blessing because I was nasty when I lost my mom to my friends. So sometimes I'm like, you dodged the bullet. Not sure. But to be honest, because I wasn't really I wasn't nice. So, and I didn't want my friends to be close to me, and especially the ones who were really trying to be there for me. They suffered because of how I treated them. So but no, my love, listen. Don't feel guilty because you didn't know. If you knew and you weren't there, then that would be a problem. But moving on. In terms of like with friends, also, I agree with what you say in terms of even me that have lost my mom, I really don't know how to be there for you. It's shocking. You might think that, I used to think, oh my God, well, I would know how to be there for you in terms of, of course, check up on you, try my best to send you hearts. I don't have to say anything, I want you to know that if you need me, I'm here. But realistically speaking, when you think about it deeply, I still don't know how, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, how to be there for you. And sometimes you read things that say just send them food or say I'll be there for you, but it's so awkward as an adult. I actually think it's easier being there for friends when we were younger because I could just come to your house at a younger age. There's no responsibility. I could just barge into your house. I don't care, you don't want to see me, I'll come. But as an adult, something in me cannot just appear in my friend's home. Because I know me losing my mom, I want space. I don't want to see you.
I cannot imagine there is anyone in the whole world who's lost somebody that hasn't thought, what could I have done differently?
So sometimes I'd be in bed and I'd find myself in the hallway, in the kitchen,